We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Boxing Ego unpack. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Live from the crazy out. Set it off. Set it off. Let's be friends. West side in this right here. West side. Approach you in post a minute. I'm in my double law tenant as you pass by. Listen, I got some brand new news. This is very interesting. We get some details, and I know you guys like details. Ryan Garcia versus Rolando Romero. The treatment. In this video, I'm going to take you through it and let you know what the game plan is for that particular fight, so you don't want to miss it. Now, leave it to your boy Ego to present you the facts. Now, before I get started, you guys really got to go to my social media. I am not one platform. I am boxing. So we are multi-platform. This is my Instagram at BOXINGEGO1. You can find all of my links and ways to donate and support the channel. All that can be found in the description box of my videos. So make sure you guys do what you know you need to do. I made this graphic for you guys. Ryan Garcia versus Rolando Romero will be free and open to the public in Times Square, New York City. New York, I got 100 gun, 100 ninja. I'm from New York, with an unlimited crowd. That's right. You heard it. According to the latest reports, and I will get ready to show you that in a second, the doubleheader with Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney in 2 separate bouts is said to take place in Times Square with an unlimited crowd. What does this mean? Okay, so Lance Pugmire wrote this. Oscar De La Hoya speaks on Ryan Garcia's Times Square return. It's going to be a madhouse. Now, for that quote, I do agree with. Let's go over some of the parameters. Orange, California. Of course, Oscar De La Hoya is most excited about the scheduled May 2nd return of his marquee fighter, Ryan Garcia. The topic of venue where Ryan will headline a card form against former champ Rolly Romero, right? With Devin Haney on the card. Saudi Arabia's boxing financer, Turki Al-Sheikh, has secured New York's Times Square for a live outdoor show that will feature seats for an estimated 300 dignitaries and offer access for an unlimited crowd. What does this mean? They're going to have reserved seating. So Turkey, I'm sure the promoters and organizers, maybe that includes media and, you know, the royal family, whoever, a select amount, like up to 300 seats for reserved people, you know, celebrities that want to come out or whoever. And then everybody else is outdoors, unlimited capacity, as, you know, get in where you fit in, right? Quote, it is free and open to the public, De La Hoya told Boxing Scene Thursday after hosting his press conference. If they smash together like sardines, we could have millions of people. It's going to be incredible. You can imagine it. Times Square, the ring right smack in the middle of it. It's going to be something like you've never seen before, said Oscar De La Hoya. It's never happened. I'm glad we're a part of it. I'm glad that Turkey is making it happen and making boxing great again. Oh, wow. Listen, I'm not going to lie to you, kid. This is weird to me, and I'm going to explain why. Now, you know me. I've been in this game over 13 years. I take chances. I innovate. I've done segments on my channel and introduced things that nobody else was doing in boxing. I'm a pioneer in this sport. So I'm not anti trying something new. However, a lot of what I'm hearing from Ring, Riyadh Season, Turkey is in an attempt to innovate. They're doing a lot of gimmicky things that has a potential, to me, to go really left and really wrong. And I'll explain. I don't just put out strong, bold, unpopular opinions and don't substantiate why I feel that way, right? What am I referring to? Okay. So Teofimo Alcatraz, let's just throw that out there. This is something that's been rumored. Why would you have a New Yorker fighting on the West Coast in a former prison that is now a museum that requires a ferry boat? I've been there several times. I live out here, right? Not in San Francisco, but I live in Northern California. And I literally went to Alcatraz 2 months ago. Posted on my story and everything, right? Weird location for a fight, especially for a West Coast fighter. Now, again, if he was fighting someone who has roots from here, like Devin Haney, maybe that makes sense. But Teo versus TBA in Alcatraz, very gimmicky, you know, especially when the man's running around calling people monkeys and eating bananas and stuff and playing this game. The Bay Area don't get down like that, for the record. So that's one example. Now they're talking about Ryan versus Rolly, Devin, double-header, whatnot, triple-header with the heavyweight fight. And they're talking about having in Times Square, sounds like outdoors, standing room only, with only 300 seats for reserved people. I mean, I love it. I love it because it doesn't affect me in the least. You know, I don't live in New York. I can't wait to see, because to me, I can think of a million things. Now, let me say it like this. For me, I feel like a lot of the brain power here and like these brainiac ideas, it's clearly coming from people who don't live because I don't know what their live situation. They're not from America. We'll just say that. Like, whoever's coming up with all these ideas, they, to me, are not from America. Because when you grow up here and you're from here and you know America's cities, you know the law of the land and how things get down. Again, for me, this seems like it has the potential to go very left. For example, unlimited crowd. So people are just going to stand up and watch boxing for 4 to 5 hours or whatever length of the show. And what about people who have disabilities, for example, where per your doctor's orders or you're in a wheelchair or something? That seems very chaotic. Like, if you have back problems or your leg is messed up or you're on crutches and you're a boxing fan, how do you accommodate that if it's just a cesspool of people in a big crowd? That's one potential issue, right? Ring walks. Ryan doing a ring walk, where is he walking from to be outdoors? Like, you're gonna have to create like a path. Then, you know, how close are people? Can they grab the fighters and like heckle them? Like Devin Haney, there's a lot of people who have been heckling him and taunting him. You see him fighting people at the OC County Fair. So how do you ensure the fighter's safety, you know, with an outdoor show and passionate, insane boxing fans? How do you ensure that? What if somebody pulled a swammy out and just start airing stuff out? And I'm not hoping for that, because I definitely wouldn't want to see somebody get hurt or get the fighters hurt or whatever. But anytime you try to do like above and beyond and you have to consider these things. This is some people look for opportunities for large gatherings to create havoc or make statements. Like, what if people come in with like Israel, Palestine, Gaza flags and they're doing protests or protesting for veganism and anti-animals? That's where usually a lot of these groups, they congregate and they look for a big event so they can have their statement seen and heard. And if you're doing a live broadcast, you have to worry about that. Like, you're going to put this fight in Times Square. What if there's a streaker? And I'm just throwing out random things. You know, it's very hard to police it, versus if you do it in a standard venue, you're not going to have vagrants and homeless people typically in that. I mean, I have covered several fights, clearly over 100 fights that I've covered. I've never seen a homeless person like in the venue at the Barclays, etc. You have to go through metal detectors to even get into these events. So it's going to be very interesting to see how any of this is policed. If they're talking about an unlimited crowd in Times Square and it's going to be a madhouse, the more people, the more security, the more risk, the more potential, I guess. Like, I'm not trying to be negative. I'm just being real. Don't be mad at me because I'm the realest in the game. Ryan, you know, he's said some crazy things. Devin Haney, his profile's where it's at. It could be very, very interesting in New York. This sounds like, and I look at it like this. When you look at things like, oh, I'm the first to do something, you have to ask yourself, why are you the first to do it? You know, anybody could just come up with something, hey, this has never been done. But there might be a reason, either common sense or logistically, why people haven't done this, right? So you guys, some people are going to love it and say, this is amazing. Shut up, ego. Enjoy. We'll see how it plays out. But you have to ask, why hasn't this been done? Like, if it was so easy to pull off and just have an outdoor event at Times Square with some named people, then how come other people haven't done that? So I don't even understand the real goal here. And then you have to also, I know what I'm saying because I know the business of boxing. What if it starts raining, hailing, super windy? You know, these are all climate changes. Any type of thing like that when you're dealing with the outdoor stadium. I remember Sean Porter fought Ugas and it started raining real bad. So the media members, they had to cover their laptops and cameras and stuff like that, because I know people that went to the fight. Or Sergio Martinez, Maravilla, when he fought against Martin Murray and he fought in Argentina. The weather was very inclement and very bad, and it kind of messed up the fight. The fighters were sliding around. You also have issues of, what if the fighter, if it's outdoors and it's chilly, for example, and it's cold? That's what I'm saying. The people who are thinking of these ideas, either they're saying they're boxing fans, they don't understand boxing, or they're not from America, or maybe it's a combination of these things. For example, fighters need to warm up, right? Who knows what the ring walk is going to look like, because it's never been done before that I'm aware of, like in the modern era. I'm not talking about, oh, I fought John L. Sullivan for 50 rounds in the 1900s. I'm not talking about stuff like that. In the modern boxing, we haven't really seen this, right? They used to do these shows back in the day, Jack Johnson, and, you know, have these crazy large gatherings. That was a completely different time, a different society. There was no social media, you know, there wasn't, everyone didn't have access to high powered weapons, and it's different. If you think the 1900s is the same as 2025, then you don't know what you're talking about, because that means we haven't evolved one iota in this many years. You know what I mean? In a century, we haven't like improved technology or nothing, which absolutely makes no sense. So I think they definitely can run into a lot of problems. We'll see if they could pull it off and make this fun and safe and that kind of things. But just from me hearing about this free and unlimited crowd and all that, I could think of a million things that they're going to have to look out for regarding this particular fight card, if that is the case. Like, what about homeless people or fiends or something? Pookie just in the crowd, man, keep calling me, man. Scotty, I don't want to die, Scotty. Don't kill me, Scotty. You know, man, they keep calling. I got these cheeseburgers, man. Please, man. Like, you doing a telecast, and here come Cuz from Menace. I got these cheeseburgers, man. Please, man. It's going to be hilarious, in my opinion. And that's the problem with a lot of these gimmicks. Just give us great matchups, compelling storylines, a good solid build-up, fighters in a clean fight, trained for the fight. That's it. That's all boxing fans need. For me, a lot of this stuff is above and beyond, and I don't know exactly how it's going to look. I mean, granted, fair play, I haven't seen it, but I've already told you some of my thoughts, and I can think of a lot of problematic potential things that they're going to have to look at. And I'm not gonna, I could go longer than this. I can make an hour video being an American, having been to New York several times, been to Times Square, been to multiple cities around America, but I'm not advised and being paid to create a game plan, right? So I'm not gonna spend all my time breaking it down. We'll see if they can pull it off. Like I said, you have the situation with JFK, and he's in a motorcade, and like that's with the Secret Service. So it's going to be interesting to see how this is handled, policed. It's just a lot more to think about, because free and open to the public, it's going to be hard to limit or control that. Like, what if a riot breaks out? Like, and the thing I'm saying, it's not really rocket science to me, right? We've seen actual fights in actual venues at the MGM or T-Mobile, and fights break out in the crowd in the middle of a fight, right? And in the fight, I think it happened at a Tank fight, and then Tank stopped almost fighting because he was like hearing the crowd noise, and he got kind of distracted. I forgot what fight it was, but I've seen it happen several times. I've been at the fights. There's an interview I have with Amir Khan, and a couple of us media guys were interviewing Amir Khan, and then people just started boxing, and I got it on camera. They started fighting and throwing, and Amir Khan had to move out the way because the scuffle bled over, and they like pushed us all out the way. We like, what the heck? Like, we're in the middle of an interview. So we've seen it. You remember when Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. fought Danny Jacobs in AZ, and it ended weird, and then the crowd started throwing shoes and bottles and drank in the club, in the ring, and then people was ducking. I've been at the StubHub in the second fight with Andre Berto. They threw a pizza box at Victor Ortiz because they was calling him a quitter. Like, I was there. So you can't tell me nothing in the comment section, because I know that a lot of people who are gonna, oh man, I disagree. I guarantee you ain't been in more fights than me. So these are the things you got to watch out. I feel like boxing in general is a hard sport to have a successful event and plan and cover all your bases. You got camera crews and got to switch the cameras. You got to deal with unforeseen emergencies. I think even at the Berto fight that I seen, it was at the StubHub, so it was outdoor. Berto said he had the sun in his eye and it blinded him temporarily. So now in New York, May 2nd, I believe it is. Who knows? I don't know. You guys that are New Yorkers, let me know what that weather is hitting for in New York. Will the fighters come out cold, and it get clipped because the temperature, like in between the rounds and stuff? When you do stuff like this and try to innovate, like I said, a lot more comes with that. And it's cool to have money. Like Turkey has money, he's spending, he's trying to do something different. Have at it, enjoy. Hopefully they plan it to the point where it's safe. Another issue, and we're just talking about regular boxing occurrences. Another issue is, what if a fighter pulls out? For Ryan failed a test before. What if he failed another test? What if Ryan got injured? And I'm using, that's the extremity. What if for any reason the fight don't happen? Now you have this big venue, right? And it's booked up, and then the superstar on the card, Ryan Garcia, and everyone wants to see how he comes back with the controversy with the Osterine. Now everyone's going to be like packed out for a lesser fight than what they were expecting. Again, these are different problems. Like, remember when they had the Vegas venue book, Errol Spence versus Pacquiao? That was a big fight for Vegas, and then it ended up being Ugas because Errol Spence's eye, he had an injury. That's something PBC and the organizers had no knowledge that would be the case, the doctors wouldn't clear him. You had Jerron Boots Ennis, who was supposed to pack out Philly with Cody Crowley. Cody Crowley, there's an injury. Fight got canceled. So it changes. I mean, any of these cancellations completely changes the dynamic of the event. So if you're trying to do like a big spectacle fight, everything has to kind of work pretty smoothly. Otherwise, it could be met with poor reviews in the aftermath. And ultimately, like I said, try something new. That's cool. If what I'm saying is cap, we're going to see. We're going to see how it play out. And I always give credit where credit's due. And I give criticism when that's due. But I do see a lot that could go wrong. Anybody who's ever been to New York, it's just, New Yorkers are great people, but it's also unpredictable too. I've seen stuff pop off. I'm not even a New Yorker, and I've seen stuff pop off while I've been out there, and I'm there to visit or cover a fight or whatever. So definitely a lot to think about. You know, some people again are gonna love it and say this is amazing and stuff. I have to see the execution, and I've seen lesser DAZN shows that were trying to do less than this, and the audio went out and it was like riddled with problems. So I am very much looking forward to seeing how it comes across, because we seen the UFC teamed up with Turkey and they did this big Sphere show. They said they spent $20 million. To me, that was not the best UFC card I've ever seen. In fact, I've seen UFC fights like Alex Pereira, right? I've seen Alex Pereira Adesanya fights that didn't have the Sphere, and it was just a better card and a better fight. Well, I can think of several UFC fights that were insanely better than Merab versus Sean O'Malley at the Sphere. And here's the other thing. You dumped all that money into the Sphere. The Sphere, I don't know why I said Sphere, but Sphere, you dumped all that money into it, and it wasn't even like memorable. It wasn't a memorable event. So we'll see what they could do in boxing here with this Times Square. But the onset of it definitely seems like a lot could potentially go wrong for some of the reasons that I've listed in this video. But we will see. I can't wait. Like I said, I've already spoken my thoughts on what it could be. I have to see how they intend to play it, but to me, I think it's dangerous. And even De La Hoya said it's going to be a madhouse, if you will. And there's just, anytime you try to pull something off big, is more liabilities and things, harder to police, those types of things. The other issue with this whole situation is I feel like the fact that they have to try to create these spectacles and like free open to the public, they're trying to have the Million Man March in Times Square and all this type of stuff. We're gonna see how it plays out. For me, I know I'm a diehard boxing fan. Y'all know I wouldn't have started the channel if I wasn't, but I truly wouldn't want to stand up for 4 to 6 hours to watch boxing. Like, what about bathrooms? You see what I'm saying? Like, in the middle of Times Square, where do you go to the bathroom? How easy is it to get to a bathroom, right? What you gonna do, porta potties, and then the venue smell like ish because people throwing up? What about concessions and food and drink and trash? Like, have you seen after some of these rallies, well, we just had like an election year, and the political rallies, after they left, you seen some of the trash that was left in New York and stuff, and now you want to clean up the streets with X amount of people? It just seems like a big, huge undertaking for a card like this. It would, if anything, it'd be better if Ryan was fighting Devin Haney for a fight like this. But for Ryan Rowley and Devin to be fighting a guy coming off a loss, Jose Ramirez, very crazy. The other thing is, you got two West Coast people doing it. Something like this on the West Coast seem like if you're going to go out and try to do something big in this spectacle, you still got everybody. Rowley's from Nevada, Ryan's from Victorville, Devin's from Henderson, and his dad's from the Bay, and then Jose Ramirez is from Fresno. So the whole card is from the West Coast. That's why I said it feels like people who aren't from America making these choices. All 4 people in the main event and the co-main are not from New York. F.A. Ajagba's not from New York. Martin Bakoli's not from New York. You know what I'm saying? So you got like no New Yorkers in the whole triple header. All 4 people in the main and co-main are from the West Coast, and you're putting them on the East Coast where the weather could be shifty. You know what I mean? I feel like California, our weather is more predictable and consistent than the East Coast and New York's and Florida's and even Texas, areas like that down south. So it's going to be interesting to see how this stuff comes to pass. But I'm just thinking about it, and I don't know. It sounds like a lot for a fight like this. But again, I'm just giving you my preliminary thoughts. I really have to see how they try to execute this. The other thing is Ryan's supposed to be a star, and then the Haney Act said Devin Haney is a huge star. Why would you do an event in the middle open to the public and for free? Like, that's what I'm saying. I don't really understand the concept here. Like, isn't to make the sport of boxing grow to have big events, but successful events like Canelo versus Jake Paul would, no matter what anybody says, it would have been a successful big fight that made a lot of money. They're in New York with all West Coast dudes in the main and co, as I just went over, fighting for free, open to the public. I don't understand the vision fully, but again, I don't work for these people. I work for me, so maybe it's not for me to understand. But I don't understand, like, you got all this star power allegedly on the card, but then you're giving away the card for free. Who does that? Like, imagine when the UFC had Conor McGregor and he was at the top of his game active. The UFC ain't giving you Conor McGregor fights in front of a crowd for free. Like, what's the point of Conor McGregor coming from Dublin? I don't know what you're thinking. Who the f is that? Shut your mouth, mate. You'll do enough, right? What is the point of coming from the slums, coming from the trenches, coming from the hood, working your way up to the point where you're a big star and like you a big wig in the game to put on events for free? Like, I don't understand it. If you guys understand it, have at it in the comment section. But Ryan is coming off the Devin Haney performance, and before that Duarte, and before that Tank. So he's like 2 fights removed from the Tank fight doing $1 million plus, and then now he fighting for free, you know, in front of Times Square against Rolly, a guy that Tank already beat when they told you he was going to be fighting Pitbull Cruz. So for me, I don't really understand. If you guys understand and you want to show up, I gave you all the information, and you know, we'll just have to wait for them to roll it out, or you know, show up, pull up if you like it. That's my initial thoughts. For more boxing news, subscribe to my channel. I am the best in the business, and it's not even close.